Okay, my friends, in this video, we're going to cover several global hotspots in war, and we're going to talk about the sun and other things and more, because the sun may take us out if we're not careful. We got another spate of solar flares that may be coming our way, coronal mass ejections, but we're going to get into the war news first. Why not cover war news so much on this channel? Some people don't like that, but the problem is that modern war, the kind of conflicts we face today, stand a high likelihood of affecting us right here at home due to all the sleeper cells in this country, due to the massive amount at which we are hacked in this country, that we stand a significant risk way beyond anything we faced before. And even these drug cartels may turn against us in some fashion. That's one good reason to get them out of the country. So just a lot of people aren't really aware of what we're looking at, what we're facing. And that's why I talk about these things. That's why I try to bring them up. That's why we go into these territories and discuss them. So pardon me for that, and pardon my voice tonight. I've been really sick for the past couple of days, and I do sound like a gravel truck, but I'm trying to bring you this as best I could. Yesterday I was laid flat. I couldn't do anything. I was so sick. I was a disaster for me, and today I'm still rough, as you can tell, as you can hear. But anyway, but that's not going to stop me from bringing you news today. Yesterday I couldn't do it. I just couldn't. I was dead. But I'm coming back from the dead. Anyway, so my friends, we're facing potential conflict with Venezuela. We've talked about Nigeria. We're not going to go over that one tonight. There's a lot of stuff going on with Russia, China. There's stuff even going on with Korea. There's stuff going on even in Sudan. We'll touch on that topic. We'll cover some other little political ripples, and then we're going to go into talking about the sun, weather, all that kind of stuff a little bit. But before we do all that, I will also announce at the end of this video, we'll do our famous egg count guess contest, which a lot of y'all have grown pretty popular with you guys. So buckle up and hang on. I'm going to share some videos. Pardon my voice. Wow, having a rough time tonight, but I will try my best to get through this. So just hang on and bear with me. I'm going to do some shares here just to kind of cover the waterfront for what is going on. And is that the one I want to go to? I don't, yeah, that's it. Hang on a minute, guys. I got so many things open here. Bing. All right. So, again, pardon my voice tonight. I am a gravel truck. Anyway, we've already talked about both Russia and China pledged to help Venezuela. Now, what that means entirely, we don't know. We do know that there was a big cargo shipment went into Caracas, Venezuela, and we also know that it's been said it was carrying advanced air defense weapons for Venezuela. I've showed those in my previous live cast, but they're not the only nations jumping in on that. Iran has doubled down on support as Trump, ups the threats. And you might remember I covered in the first Trump administration how Iran was sending so many missiles to Venezuela, a lot of missiles. And so we can expect, they've lost a lot of their proxies, so they probably don't want to lose Venezuela. They've used Venezuela to send Hezbollah all into South America and probably up through our border when our borders were so wide open. We don't know what all we got in this country today, my friends. So this is why we got to pay attention. This is why we got to keep eyes wide open, head on the swivel. Not to mention internal strife in this country, which I'll probably cover in a whole nother video. But you can see it. It's all in the air. So let's move on. Uh, oh, that can get out of order. Yeah, I thought all these was Venezuela. Yeah, all right. So Ukraine's claiming credit for wiping out 20,000 Russian troops to the single unit. Okay. Yeah, that's one used on the Ukrainian front. That one got out of order. My apologies. I meant to cover Venezuela first. Yeah, I'm a little bit off my game tonight, guys. I tried to group my topics, and I thought I had them all grouped. But anyway, so Trump admin tells Congress it currently lacks a legal justification to strike Venezuela. Believe it or not, that's what they've said. But Congress seems to be moving on that in some fashion. If I can get these. Uh-oh, we're having one of those hangups. I'm gonna have to stop the share to get and reshare to get this to work. I know how it goes. Sometimes this thing just hangs up. So let's go back in here. GOP Senate shuts down war powers resolution aimed at blocking U.S. strikes on Venezuela. So you can see that the Congress, at least the Senate, seem to be moving forward to supporting strikes on Venezuela. Are we going to do strikes on Venezuela? With all the assets we're putting down there, it would be interesting if we didn't. Although Trump seems to be holding off a little bit on one of them. I'll show you that in just a little bit. If you think we're going to war with Venezuela, put a 1 in the chat room. If you think we're not, put a 2. Let's see what you guys think about it. But see, look, we're putting an aircraft. We're sending attack aircraft to El Salvador. So there's been talks about not just now that's a place in which things could be staged to Venezuela too, but Colombia's also been in this discussion mix. Colombia and even Mexico. And you can see El Salvador is way down here on the southern tip of Central America. You see that? A little bit dot down there where my cursor's at. I don't know if y'all can see that or not. This is a terrible view of it. But it's way down there, just in case you didn't know where El Salvador is. It's in Central America. I just thought I would help people remember this tiny little country, tiny little country. Now, they had quite an awful civil war there in El Salvador back in the 80s. Anyway, well, guys, so Coast Guard's record-breaking cocaine haul in 2025, they claim could have poisoned half the United States. Well, I'm glad they got that stuff. That's all I can say. They got a record-breaking haul that they've captured. 510,000 pounds of cocaine. Woo. 510,000 pounds in 2025. And it's not over yet. So yeah, I'd have to say that's a good thing. Now, whatever the case is on these boats, I don't know. I see most people think we're going to war, at least the ones that responded. I will go into the chat room more in depth. I want to get back to it now. Okay. You can see this was as of the 3rd of November, which is now, 5 days old. This is the latest one that the USNI Fleet Tracker has up. Positions are, we have the Iwo Jima down here. And the Ford was reportedly on its way to Venezuela. However, this is one that Trump may be holding back on. The Ford is holding off of North Africa, so it's went through the Strait of Gibraltar. It's hanging off the coast of Northern Africa right now. Supposedly, as Trump reportedly won't strike Venezuela. Well, it's getting positioned to go down there, so they're still applying pressure. So what does all that mean? It could get down there pretty fast if they really want to strike. So it's really hard to say what is shaping up there. There may be some other things shaking, such as this report in Zero Hedge, which is claiming that Maduro may be negotiating some kind of way out. He may be negotiating some kind of managed exit if Trump provides amnesty, and supposedly a lot of other deals with Venezuela if he's given amnesty. I don't know. See, prior to Trump upping the pressure, Richard Grenfell had negotiated a lot of stuff with Venezuela, like access to the oil and minerals, crackdown on gangsters, drug transit, and release of detained Americans, resumption of deportation flights to Venezuela. But Trump shut all that down. So is all that going to come back into play? What do we got in play right now? Well, the USS Gerald Ford may be heading there. We got eight plus warships, over 10,000 troops, a nuclear-powered submarine. I guess that's the Newport News, which is over in the Eastern Caribbean, probably to keep Russia and China and Iran out. Drones and fighter jets. Yeah, we got a lot of assets we put down there, a lot more than it takes to take out drug boats. So what is really cooking? I think right now we ain't going to know exactly. We're not going to know. It's going to be hard to know how this is going to play out in reality because there's a lot of gamemanship going on. And I checked AI on Gemini. It said that stuff hasn't been verified in terms of these negotiations on Maduro having an exit plan. So it's kind of hard to say what the validity of that is. I'm not going to say it's one way or the other. And it would be good if we could have a peaceable end of this mess and something that cuts down the drug trade. That would be great and wonderful. I'm going to hit some economic news for a minute. Era of gold and silver. These guys are expecting to see a sea change. Precious metals experts say that gold is predicted to rise absolutely ballistic as prices and broader market allocations remain low. They're expecting big price gains in gold and silver and other precious metals. And I understand copper and something else just got added to the strategic metals list. Anyway, silver, I think. But investor Mark Mobius, who's got a Mobius coil, says AI bubble could lead to 40% drop in stocks. And flags one area the market investors should buy. Well, not AI. And I've been seeing it because there's been so many AI companies out there that they've been investing so much money into AI prospects right now that there's not a good model for how this is going to pay back, to be honest. The payback on this is just not seen. It's not in the cards, and they're not showing it. Remember the dot-com bubble where everybody threw all the money in dot-com? Because that's obviously the future when, the internet was going to be, but it was over-speculated at first. And I can see the same thing happening in the AI world. Such a buzz, it's such a glitter to it that everybody just jumps on the bandwagon because people invest in the stock market emotionally, not rationally. And this is, future investments, you need to be rational, not emotional. You need to look at it for what things really could be. Now, I'm no fan of the World Economic Forum, as you well know, by any measure, but they are here talking about 3 bubbles that could bust. And so what they're talking about is artificial intelligence, and they're talking about Bitcoin, not Bitcoin, just that kind of cryptocurrency, and what else was it in here? Financial markets. Yeah, it was crypto and Bitcoin, AI. What else did he say? I had them highlighted and then somehow I lost it. But um, anyway, he's predicting a lot of financial market, I guess. Stock market is in rough shape here. Debt. Oh yeah, this is it. Debt bubble. Debt bubble. There we go. Crypto bubble, AI bubble, and the debt bubble. Well, it don't take this guy to tell us this. I've been talking this for some time. So there's no surprise in any of those. Our nation's, we're just now went $38 trillion in debt. It's climbing fast. In spite of Doge and all that other stuff, our debt is rocketing up. And we're still giving a lot of money to foreign countries. And it just don't make any sense right now because we're on the verge of bust. Why are we doing this? What happened to America first? I don't know. Now, last time I was on here, gold was under 4,000. It was 3,900 and something. And silver was like 47 something. So we can see, I said, these things, it was kind of a dip. I said, on the trend line up, you get ups and downs. And I said, that might be a good place. I'm not going to tell you what the future holds, but there sure is a lot of attacks on the US dollar through BRICS. And, our national debt don't bode well for our dollar. Stock market don't look great. So this is probably why gold is going up. It's because right now it seems to be one of the stable things in the world. And this Defy the Grid has a deal here for you. If you find a better price anywhere else, they'll meet it or beat it. Nobody else makes that offer. Nobody else. And why? Because they only operate on 3 to 4% margin for profit. And that's one of the tightest margins anywhere. Yet out of that, they will still give you 1% off if you use discount code Green Gregs. So I'm not a financial analyst, but I have suggested it was very likely that gold was going to go up. And it has. It continues to. And, these guys back there were saying, the article I just showed you, they don't see any, they think it's going to go up ballistically. I don't know, but that's what they're saying. So, be your own judge. But, what I do like is, they do sell, for those that like bullion, bars, silver, platinum, palladium, gold, I guess copper. They got a lot of deals in here. But you can also buy coins, rounds, or what I really like is they got silver notes and they got these gold backs, which I got right here. What I like about these is there's just such a tiny amount of gold. It's fungible. You could actually buy and barter small items with them. This is one thousandth of a troy ounce of gold. So something to think about. I think when I first started talking about this, it was less than 2,000, was it not? Anyway, uh, so getting back to war, back to Europe, Russia. Vladimir Putin now says he's going to detonate a nuclear bomb. And this article claims it's the greatest World War III threat yet. Now, that's saber rattling. And I don't quite buy what this article's putting out. Why is that? Well, it is a bit of a threat, but think about all the years in the Cold War. Russia and the United States tested a lot of nuclear bombs. Did that up the ante? Did that say we were going to war right then? No. But we did have a lot of close calls. We had many uncomparable close calls for nuclear war with Russia. Now that China's also aiming at us and North Korea's aiming at us, and who else may soon be aiming at us, the stakes are going up. It's like playing Russian roulette. We used to play it with one revolver. Now we got three revolvers we're playing Russian roulette with. How long will our luck hold out? We've had too many close calls in the past. Uh, Something needs to be done. This is horrible in that regard. But this in and of itself, in my humble opinion, doesn't just because they're going to do a test. That means they're rattling the saber. That doesn't mean that's going to escalate to World War III, although it might be used as an excuse. It does seem that people in Europe are hankering for war real bad. So is Russia for some reason. They all want war. I don't know why, but this is Russia's sub I've been telling you about that carries the Poseidon nuclear missile, sub of doom. There it is in the, oh shoot, now I don't want to scroll. What happened here? Just want to share the satellite photograph. Why is it not scrolling? This page hung up on me. Is this whole thing hung? Yep, I got to stop share again. I don't know why it does that to me. Stop the share and reshare. Jeez. Jeez Louise. Oh, what happened? Do I lose that page? No, just skipped. What's it doing? Oh, shoot. Doing crazy stuff to me here. Hang on a minute. I'm just trying to pull it back up and what we're sharing. All right, let's see if we can scroll down now to it. There it is. Here it is in the harbor. The Khabarovsk, how do they pronounce that? Submarine. That's it in the harbor right there. Satellite photograph. Now what happened? All right. Did not go back in order where I had it? So let's go over to this article. Now, Russia is maybe on the verge of taking Pokrovsk, or how you ever say Pokrovsk, Pokrovsk. I can't, VSK. How do you pronounce that? They say they're on the verge of taking that city. And oh yeah, this article's on it too. Ukraine faces potential fall to Russia after 18 months of battle of attrition. The Russians claiming they got the Ukrainians surrounded there. And why it really matters is because this town is a hub for both highways and railroads. It's thought from this vantage point, if Russia takes that, they could pretty much secure most of Donetsk, which is what Putin really wants to do. Maybe he aims to do this. It's right here. He really wants to do this before maybe he would consider negotiating a peace treaty. Now look here, the Russians are, they could close a big gap right there. You can see this. It could be quite a launching point for them to take a lot of territory fast if they can take that. That's why they want it. And Russian drone incursions rattle Europe, Poland, and Romania. They deploy new defense systems against drones. I just covered that in the video posted on this channel earlier. It just goes more into NATO trying to post defenses against it, but they've also got to change some of their laws to be able to shoot drones down inside some of their territories. So, and another thing that's kind of interesting, they say Moscow's conscripting people in the territories that's taken over in Ukraine, or what was Ukraine, or in the Donetsk and Luhansk, Donbass region. Those two provinces together make the Donbass region. That they are taking territory, then they conscript people with them. Of course, Russian has passed a constitutional amendment that claims all that area is part of Russia by their constitution, so they consider it all Russian, and they've given people their notice that they've got to file uh, uh, passports, Russian passports, and I suppose that means they're as a Russian to go anywhere else. And this article don't distinguish that, but once they do that, then they're suddenly subject to being. They're told to either file the passports or leave, and then once they do the passports, they're conscripted. That's interesting. Now, this article claims the conscripts don't immediately go to war fronts, but then they get in and are pressured to do just that. So we'll see how that goes. But anyway, getting sent to the front, either from Ukraine or Russia, is almost a sentence that you're going to be pushing daisies. It's not a pretty place over there, my friends. Ukraine drones strike industrial center in Russia's Bashkortostan. Now, this is 750 miles deep into Russia. It's a petrochemical site. They're really trying to take out Russia's economy. And, that and our sanctions might be doing it. But Ukraine's running out of tanks. So they got a real problem keeping up the tanks. Oh, yeah, there's another article I don't have open. Ukraine's got $50 billion in reserves right now. Really, they do. So why are we sending them more money? That's another question. If you think we need to send Ukraine more money, put a 3 in the chat room. If you disagree, put a 4 in the chat room. Anyway, Russia's oil revenues plunge just as U.S. sanctions hit when Moscow can least afford it. There's talk of the Russian economy going into a recession somewhere around the end of the year. Maybe they think they'll have Donbass secure by then. I don't know. So that may be their strategy. Maybe Putin will be more amenable to peace at that point. I don't know. We'll have to see. Let's hope that this thing gets resolved. Hey, I drank some fluids, guys. Just some tea there. Anywho, well, not to be left out, China's got a new robot wolf. They claim it destroys Taiwan defenses in 10 seconds. Well, that's optimistic, but this is a former little feller. Because these guys are armed. You can see the rifles here. I showed you one last video where similar robot dogs carrying bombs, explosives. Well, they got them all kinds of robot dogs and wolves, or whatever they want to call them over there. That definitely, these little robots and drones, they're the game changer in war. They will be the game changer. And with all the other stuff that Taiwan's deploying, this might give China the confidence to go ahead and strike Taiwan. And they're definitely aiming their military toward it. But the United States has got a new little robot too. It's called an ant. And it's a tank killer, fire ant, fire ant. It's a tank killer. The weakest points on the tank are the underbelly and right on top. Maybe they're beefing up the tops of tanks since Ukraine's been dropping so many bombs and drones on top. That was what they expected. But so uh, these little vehicles, they could be a game changer, but we need all the armaments we can get on our side if we get into an engagement. I'm not for war, guys, but it may be forced on us. Now here, the Navy is prepared for what's coming. Now there's some of the Chinese naval drones are developing. These are unmanned submarines. It might make you think of Russia's Poseidon nuclear submarine. My understanding is that China has one that's smaller, a nuclear submarine that's smaller. Maybe they could still deliver a 2 kiloton warhead, which could take out a port or a harbor or a aircraft carrier group. So, but now what's odd is that China's come up with these biological designed drones, naval drones that swim like manta rays or jellyfish. And so they're not really so detectable by our sonars and our detection systems. It could sneak up on our ships. And so they can be used to lay mines and strategic choke points and such. So, this is getting ugly, guys. It's really getting ugly. This next World War, if we get into it, is going to be off the charts different than anything we've ever seen or imagined almost. Let's sum it up in one word: ugly. Ugly. There's no other way to put it. Well, I could use worse words. That's just one. Uh, Now, what I warned you guys about before is how China could hack cars and such. Y'all probably thought that was ridiculous. Norway Transport Forum steps up controls after tests show Chinese-made buses can be halted remotely. See there? And it's not just what they're doing to the United States. Hello, Europe. Hello, Norway. Wake up. China's not your friend. If they were, why are they sending you guys junk like this? And then, like I said, it could come right here home. Once again, once again, Chinese scholars charged with smuggling biological materials into U.S. under research cover. And we just had this happen just a few months ago. Well, it's happened again. It just keeps happening. They keep sending people over here with biologics. Why? Why? Again, 3 Chinese nationals. Yeah, just like we heard before, right? Fake. Yeah. So it just keeps happening. Keeps happening. University of Michigan. Sounds like a rerun, does it not? Does it not sound like a rerun? What have I been telling you guys? China's already at war with us, and we're just too dumb to know it. But what can I say? Now, this article, this is another one, like that Nuke article, I think it's a little overblown. It talks about war on the brink. North Korea's rage triggers full-scale South Korean military mobilization led by Joint Chiefs. What it was there was a drone incursion last October. I think it was October previous year. Let's see. Well, it says last October. Drone incursions from North Korea prompted a major exercise by South Korea to put their Apache helicopters and other recent intelligence gathering operations near the DMZ. And I hadn't heard of China, North Korea were rallying against this per se. But if you go through this article, it really sounds kind of lame for the title given to it. But yeah, there's definitely war tensions there. Definitely. So, like I said, we was going to cover North Korea too, or Korea, both Koreas. And Israel steps up attacks on southern Lebanon, drops evacuation warnings. Well, Israel just keeps bombing everybody. And they got that peace treaty now with Gaza, but they just been bombing the snot out of Gaza ever since that's been issued. And Trump says, well, the peace treaty still holds. Kind of hard to see. Kind of hard to see. Of course, the uh, uh, Hamas, as you know, has been often their own people in Gaza. So it's still ugly over there. Nothing looking good. Nothing looking good. We should talk more about Israel later. I don't know. Now, yikes. We got an ad popping up. I hate that. And guys, I'm hearing some articles claiming that wow, it just keeps on. It won't stop. I keep hearing that, we got a lot of mass mayhem in Sudan. In fact, some articles claim there's more people. That's the deadliest war going on right now. And you know who that's against? It's Christian and Muslim, but for the most part. All right, guys. Now we'll have to hit on the Madami thing. With Madami's big win in New York, it's encouraged all kind of people to come out and run for office. All kinds, including I want you to tell me if you'd support this guy, a furry who celebrated Charlie Kirk often and said U.S. deserved 9/11 It's going to run for Congress in Michigan. I kid you not. And there's a picture of him in his furry disguise. This guy wants to run for the United States Congress. His name is Sam Smeltzer, and he identifies as Elon Badger. He says he's a honey badger. So if you think this guy ought to run for Congress, put a 5 in the chat room. If you'd rather not see this guy in Congress, put a 6 in the chat room. I don't know, guys. This is what the Democratic Party is going to. Seemingly, all kind of nut stuff. Well, 65% of SNAP recipients are going to get 65% of their benefits still this month. Still a lot of fighting over this. Guys, if you need food, if you're in a bad shape, look at food banks in your area. There are food banks that will give you, most towns, even small towns, will have 2 or 3 food banks. Even small towns, even Snowflake's got 2 or 3. And you can go there. I see a lot of people aren't too interested in seeing him running for Congress. Him getting a seat in the U.S. Congress. It says he hates America. Why should somebody like that be in their Congress? Jeez. Anyway, so here we are. SNAP. Yeah, I already said that. Yeah, go to the food banks if you really need food. They'll give you a box of just regular food. It may not be, you get what you get, but it's, you'll get fruits and vegetables, some kind of meat, bread, sandwiches, usually canned goods. Depends on the different ones. You'll get even the snacks and, desserts, candy or something, cookies. They give different things. It depends. But now this article here claims that foreign-born illegal immigrants basically are getting a big chunk of this. Now, I think this is as a percent of these immigrants versus the others. I don't think this is a percent overall. So it's kind of hard to rack it and stack it given that. So, but a fair chunk of these benefits are going to illegal aliens. Maybe if they're taking off the rolls, then they'll be more encouraged to go home. It'd save more money for Americans. So if y'all think that illegal aliens ought to get more, put a 7 in the chat room. If you think it ought to stay as is, if you think this program needs to be revamped, put an 8 in the chat room. Let's see what y'all think about that one. So, anywho, now here's some scary stuff. New research reveals microplastics buried in geological levels formed centuries before we invented plastic. These things are leaching down deep into the ground. They're going everywhere. Microplastics are a problem. Microplastics. We got to do something about this plastic industry. It is contaminating everything. It is a real issue. We're going to get through the news here real fast tonight, guys, for Coffee Club guys in the morning. Scientists issue warning after discovering that what they have, they found it's in meat now. It was in plants first. Well, animals eat plants, so I guess it was no surprise. I think plants still have more of it than animals, but yikes. It's getting everywhere. Something needs to be done about these plastics. Guys, microplastics cause blood clots and many other things. Now, there is a way to detox this stuff. And it's been found if you take in more sulforaphane, it takes the stuff out of your tissues. But then it's still in your bloodstream. So, but if you use a sauna treatment, you can sweat it out. I don't have a sauna, but that's sulforaphane is known to be in broccoli, but regular broccoli heads don't have enough of it. But broccoli microgreens have 40 to 100 times more sulforaphane than full-fledged broccoli. So the broccoli microgreens that I used to grow and sell are probably some of the best things for you. And this sulforaphane turns into glutathiones, which you need so much to help your immune system and many other things with your health. So, go back to my old videos on how to raise microgreens. I covered that years ago on this channel several times. So go back and see those old videos. This may be one of the best things for you. Some of my old videos got golden stuff in them if you can find them. Anyway, Elon Musk got $1 trillion pay package promise, but he's got a lot of contingencies to meet to make that happen. And some of them I think may be nearly impossible. For example, he's got to sell a whole lot more Tesla cars. He's got to sell his robots and several other things. There's several things he's got to do to make that work. Unfortunately, he has ostracized himself from the community that would be most inclined to buy those cars, being the liberal left. And so I don't know, maybe he's got to find some way to reappeal to them or appeal to which I don't think that's happening now, or appeal to the people that rather have gas burners. So I have a hard time seeing that happen, but his robots are another part of it. But those robots are said that it's going to cost $20,000 a copy to manufacture them, which means they got to sell for something north of $20,000. Now, if you think about $20,000, about what you pay for labor for somebody, minimum wage for a year. So if they can do real useful work, it could be worth it. Supposedly they'll last a few years, and maybe they can work more than one shift. I don't know. We'll have to see how that goes. I don't know that everybody wants a pet robot in their house just yet. He thinks so well, but at 20 grand, I don't know. People pay a lot of money for cars. But, China just came out with a humanoid robot for $1,500. It's probably nowhere near as capable as Optimus Prime, but still, they got to work on the price. Maybe these robots building as robots to get the price down. Pardon me. Like I said, I've been really sick. Now we find a common sweetener could damage critical brain barrier, risking stroke. And I bring you different news. Some of it's health related. Some of it's about contaminants. So you need to buy pure whole foods, guys. There's only one thing worse than sugar. It's every swinging possible sugar substitute. All this artificial sweeteners, every swinging one of them is worse than sugar. Sugar's not good for you, but it seems like everything they come up with otherwise is even worse. So what we're talking about here is used in protein bars and energy drinks. So you guys might be consuming some of this. So look for it in the labels. It's erythritol. It's spelled ERYTHRITOL. Erythritol. I don't know how you pronounce that. That's my closest approximation to it. But you need to watch this stuff, guys. It's not good for you. Like I said, the only thing worse than sugar is every swinging possible sugar substitute they've come up with. So anyway, I don't know, maybe stevia is not so bad. And then, guys, look what's happening in British Columbia. These liberal governments don't give a fig about farmers. Just ask the people in Oregon, California, states that are dominated by the liberal left woke people. They do all kind of stuff against farmers. Here they've totally wiped out this ostrich farm, supposedly because they found two birds with the H5N1. But they didn't even bother to test them. There's policies just to wipe them all out. So they've destroyed this farm. And these are rare birds, by the way. So that's the most unfortunate thing. But that's just one of many examples. A lot of chickens taken out have been the same story. A lot of egg layers, and a lot of times they never tested any of them. That's happened right here in the United States. You think this couldn't come on here? Well, some people in Oregon are trying to take action on what's happening with them in this. There's this Greater Idaho movement. 13 counties of Oregon have voted to have it on their ballot to secede from the state of Oregon, West Wokistan. Eastern West Wokistan, don't want no part of West Wokistan. It's chewy weather in the house. You would appreciate this. Anyway, they don't know part of it because the farms there have been nearly destroyed by the woke regulations that's put upon them, like telling them they can't even use their own groundwater. Just all kind of crazy stuff. There's a channel called NASA, something like that, YANASA. He covers a lot of these topics all the time, and he does pretty good on those. But the farms, small farms, are under attack all over the country, have been, and especially in Canada and any liberal state, it's even more true. And when the Biden was a president, it was pretty bad. But so this is something to pay a lot of attention to. I wish them a lot of luck. It's too bad they don't just try to form their own state so we can have two more conservative senators. If they succeed with this, you might see the same thing in Washington State and California, because there's a whole lot of counties that are being dominated by the cities and the states are in. Same with Illinois. Most of southern Illinois is farm territory. It's ruled by Chicago. And, but you drive through southern Illinois, it's all big farms. Upstate New York, a lot of places have this issue. And a lot of these states, a lot of these counties would do well to get out from under the foot of the liberal left who's destroying their farming. So I don't know if you think this is a good movement, put a 10 in the chat room. If you think that this is a bad movement, put a 9 in the chat room. So what y'all think about this one? All right. So guys, about 42,000 years ago, there was a magnetic excursion called the Lechemp's excursion of our magnetic field. It got real weak. It dropped down about 10% of the field strength. And it was a case where we came real close to having a pole flip, but it didn't happen. We're way overdue for a magnetic pole flip. It would probably be worse than this if that happened, because cosmic rays from space come down to the ground a lot more frequently. It's thought by many that this wiped out the Neanderthals. Now, that's not proven conclusively, but it's about the same time frame. It sure didn't help them. It probably didn't help any of the people alive at the time or any of the animals at the time. So it's thought that, people adapted by living in caves, cavemen. And they also put red ochre on their skins. And this article don't cover that, but they did a lot of stuff. Red ochre is, just kind of a clay mud red. They would just cover themselves with to keep the cosmic rays from coming in. It also helps keep mosquitoes from biting you too, by the way. That's one natural, putting mud on you keeps the mosquitoes off. So this is what they did. They had a hard time adapting to this. And did our ancestors survive? Of course. I wouldn't be talking on the night if we hadn't, right? So this is something to watch out for, because our magnetic field is dropping fast. The poles are moving fast, and they're warning here this could happen again. It could soon be repeated, according to this article. And this is something you'd have to prep for. Definitely. You may have a hard time growing food. So you'd want to save a lot of seeds. You may want to check out my links to True Leaf Market and Eden Brothers. You need heirloom seeds. You can plant the same seeds over and get the same crop back, not the hybrid seeds you get in most stores. So give this a strong consideration. Maybe stock up a bunch of food, because if this happens, we're in bad, bad, bad shape, guys. So just letting y'all know that this could happen. And on top of that, when the sun is getting more active, worse risk. Our magnetic field is weaker now than it was in 1859 when the Carrington event occurred. So it won't take as strong a storm. Right now, we've got these ginormous sunspots coming around, and they're loaded. They're cocked and loaded. The magnetic field's on and 4274. This is a huge sun complex. I'm kind of surprised it's so far north, because as you get toward the end of the solar maximum, most of the sunspots migrate toward the equator as you're getting toward the end of it. So we're not quite at the end yet, but it's on the downhill side of your maximums that usually have the biggest solar flares. So we are subject, and this thing did kick out some major solar flares when it was on the other side of the sun, over toward 3i Atlas, by the way. So, and here it is coming around. They said the problem is it's a twisted magnetic field. And that was where they do the most damage. Just look at the aurora activity right now. It's pretty strong. If it's a click open, or is it not clicking? I don't know. Usually those things click. Yeah. Well, you can see it here. I was trying to click it open. And to make it worse, there's a coronal hole preceding it. This coronal hole streams a lot of particles out, which probably presets our magnetic field a little weaker, squeezes it down. So we're being squeezed down while we're facing these potential flares from these sunspots and CMEs. So it don't look great and wonderful. The risk is existent. So get your preps in order. We don't know how long we've got before the sun would send out something that would take out our grid. Could happen. Could happen now. I'm not saying it will, but it could. Good news on the asteroid front is there's nothing that we see. This is the least red I've seen on this in a long time. There's nothing we know of right now that's coming at us close. That's the good news. What did I say? Nothing we know of. We're always discovering new ones. All right. That's usually the ones that's red. It's usually the ones that just passed us. So I don't mean we're out of the woods, but it doesn't look as bad. It could be worse. All righty, guys. Earthquakes. Kamchatka is still rocking. Oh, we got some big ones down here. Look at this. Let's zoom in. Down Baja, California area. Whoops. She ain't going the way I want it to. That's what the biggest one was there. 5.7, Santa Rosala, Mexico. There's two of them, which got an aftershock. Something over here in West Texas, which is White City. We've seen White City before. Excuse me. That one down in Panama. 4.6. Up here near San Fran. 2.7. Gyres, California. We'll see Gyres. Right here, this is a really active earthquake area at the tip of this Juan de Fuca fault plate here. 2.8. Oops. Let's scroll back out a little bit. Oops. Try to move the screen and it just does something different every time I try to do it. Well, it ain't cooperating today. I was trying to scroll the screen and all it's doing is changing the scale. Bottom over here on Kamchatka Peninsula. Imagine Russia's having a hard time rebuilding their submarine base there because that place just don't quit rocking. I'm just going to back out since this thing don't seem to want to cooperate. So I'm off Tokyo. I'm off Japan, Yamada, Philippines. 4.5. It's not real big. Let's just back off. I'm going to try to scroll right now because it seems to be backfiring. We got some big ones over here. Fiji, 5.6. Over here in the Mid-Atlantic Rift, 5.0, Mid-Atlantic Ridge. So we got a lot of earthquake activity going on. All right, that's the news portion of this video for the Morning Coffee Club members. So, whew. We'll try to make this video a little quicker than that if we can. We'll go into the chat room here in a second and see what folks are having to say. I'll try to pull it up here on the computer. So who's in the house? 69 watching. It's in jamming. All right. Just Mike. Deep function 100,000 minus one. Arnold. Just Mike. Let's see. Jesse Mills. Thank you for calling for the thumbs up. Stan Grenfold. Hello to you. Eagle Eye. View image. Hadn't seen you in a while. Good to see you back in the house. Yeah, I got Arnold. I was laid really low yesterday. I couldn't do the Jack Biddle. I mean, I tried to go to the doctor's office, and I was fighting, staying awake the whole way there and back. That was after being in bed 8 hours the night before. I was all night. My heart was running 109. I was coughing like crazy. It was rough. And it had a low grade temperature, light drizzle in Santa Rosa Beach. Okay. Yeah, it's getting cold on the East Coast. I'm hearing all kind of stories of there's, I guess, an Arctic vortex pouring down the East Coast. It's supposed to get 20 in Huntsville, Alabama. next night or two. And I'm hearing reports of all kind of snow out east. The sun has been noisy. Yes, it has. Oh, you didn't get the live alert. Sorry, white girl. Check your subscription. Make sure you subscribe. Bang and click the bell and bang all. And sometimes you just got to check my channel from time to time. Maduro is talking exile. Yeah, I brought that up. Like I said, though, AI says that's not verified, but hopefully it is. I think they can cut a deal and avert war. Really do. War is terrible. There's nothing good about war. I need you. Good to see you. Contras, that's right, Jason. A lot of that was over in Nicaragua. Why you girl? Oh, so you're breaking my heart. What? Oh, big money. Oh, yeah, things are getting kind of scary, guys. It's no kidding. Jesse Talbert's in the house. Yeah, he'll back up everything I'm saying on the sun and then some. Good to see you, Jesse. He'll back up everything I've been saying about the sun and then some. He's managed to get a house in Moscow behind the gates. Oh, good for him. Let's hope he gets out. Let's hope we avert a war down there. Oh, Arnold. Don't run my girls off, Arnold. Yeah, copper's good metal. AI is making too many decisions. Oh, yeah, I had an article asking if AI starting World War III would start a nuke war. Some of the simulations have indicated it would if it had the power. Unfortunately, we are giving it too much power. Palantir might be a part of that. No, not a fan of WF. No way. Yeah, the whole world's dead. That may be why they talk about a reset. Is it planned? Is it planned? Is all this done on purpose? Things have not been right since the rate of the rate on Mar-a-Lago. Yeah, that was uncalled for. So yeah, I'm just blind all this stuff. All something I can do is just watch. Well, prep and pray. I always tell you guys that. Prep and pray. Let's get ready. And I'd say if you can move away, if you're in a big city, get out. If you all can. Big city's gonna be a terrible place to be when things go south. A bunch of cannibals. 4K is going to hold. They've been testing that level for 10 days now, and go up to what, Jason? What do you predict? Could be Arnold. Deep Function says I analyzed it quite well, and if the one takes a look, they will begin to see Trump last year political events like carbon copies. Nothing's off the cuff. Explain further. Deep Function 100,000 minus one. Yeah, things not been right since 9/11, Jason. I agree with that. Look what happened, just what happened in New York. Oh, Lordy. Amen. Jesse said it hit it just right. So yeah, that's all any of us can do. Just try to put food, barter items, seeds, and means to keep your stuff. Guys, I've had some people hit on me lately for covering so much war news. But the reason I do that is just to underscore you got to get ready. And hopefully it'll give us some idea when things might really pop. I mean, that's what we're really watching for. We're really watching for when will it pop, and if so, when and how. So I'm trying to get you guys as best ready and informed as I can. I actually do have, when I post these videos, some people really complain about the war coverage. But then again, that's what a lot of people watch for. I can't satisfy everybody, but there's a reason for that. Jesse Mills, you Irish? I don't know. I met Jesse. He lives close by. He's a nice guy. Really nice guy. Gives me a lot of advice. Welch, okay. Welch. Eisenhower gave us a warning when he left office. He was smart enough to wait till he left office to warn us. JFK tried to warn us while he was in office. Didn't serve him very well, did it? Not saying that's what got him, but they got enough in 46. Yeah. Something much bigger than a dog. That might be. Maybe that's what they call it, a wolf. Well, Eisenhower warned us about the military industrial complex, but it's a lot bigger than that. It's a lot bigger than that. JFK really kind of spilt the beans on the bigger picture, but didn't do well. He didn't last long after that. Manta rays have stuff. Now we got a manta ray kind of submarine ourselves. China's third aircraft. Yeah. China's come out with a third aircraft carrier. The European Union is broke. America's in deep debt. Canada's heading right behind the United States. And China isn't doing so well either. Yeah, the whole world is in a pretty sad situation. Maybe that's why they want war. Kami Odami. You're right, New. Kami Odami. Oh, yeah. What was another name I've heard for him? It's Taximus Maximus. Taximus Maximus. That's another name for him. Jonathan Miller, Madami is eligible for office per the Constitution. For mayor? I don't think our Constitution covers who can run for mayor unless there's something in New York or the city of New York, New York State or the city of New York. I don't know. Arnold Smith, I'm not an American, so I have no skin in the game. Deception is rampant in all governments. Amen. Amen. More deception you can imagine. And it's in both political parties. Both political parties. 8 Ball. That's a good one. Deep function. Most of the world is broke. Their money's going somewhere. Yep. Get right with God. Don't try to fix this world. Well, you need to get right with your maker. I've always said that. You got to take care of yourself too. But we're expected to do what we can do while we're here. That's kind of Christian soldier idea, right? I think we are expected to do what we can do. The more we resist them, the better off our individual communities might be. Or maybe the longer we can push something off or the whole impact, maybe we can lessen it by, we don't give up. Never give up. I don't believe in giving up. Trust in God, but don't give up. Like when the Satan tried to tempt Jesus to jump off the temple or whatever building was on, and and Jesus rebuked him for it. Well, in the future, when they take all our rights away from driving and all AI robots, that's where Tesla can come in with Elon instead of being a half trillionaire. Come on, I don't know. Don't he's too friendly with China, in my humble opinion. That's my biggest gripe with it. Too friendly with China. Sugar is a bad in moderation. You're right. Yeah, they coat everything in sugar. Yeah, they give you too much up, but then they give you all that corn fructose, you know, fructose corn syrup, whatever you call it. Scan family. I hadn't seen you in a while. They did the same in the U.S. If one bird, yes, yes, yes. And not only that, they went into chicken farms that they didn't test at all. Just some allegation and wiped out entire hen laying houses. That's the allegations I've heard over and over. Absolutely, sugar is a real problem in the modern world. Yeah, it's overdone. Hey, honey's natural sugar. Fruits are natural sugars. Go with that as much as you can. But use whole organic honey. Stuff you buy in the stores is often cut with fructose corn syrup. I tell you it's pure honey, but often it's not. Honey stocks the pharmaceuticals. Yeah, these ostriches have antibiotics. Ah, okay, well, there we go. Hey, old hillbilly, how you doing? And he sings, "Where my brother?" Hello, hillbilly. Let's see. Homeless for you. Are you homeless? And he sings, are you homeless, my friend? Hey, do you go to the food banks? And he sings. You find food banks anywhere, but you got to kind of register and sign up for them. But usually they don't have the kind of requirements that say you can sign up for SNAP. This you just go in and sign your name in the line. They let you in. It's my understanding. You suggest you have a direct way to get you and supplies up to the observatories. Well, the observatories, Jesse. I gotta tell you something. A magnetic pole shift is not a crustal shift. There is a channel out here in YouTube that tells everybody there's a major crustal shift every 12,000 years. That's the biggest bunch of baloney I ever heard in my life. Ain't never happened. At least not in the last 35 million years. And from the geological rate, it don't look like it's ever happened, ever. The continents float on crantons. They're big blocks of granite. If you had a crustal shift when we went over the equatorial bulge of the Earth, they would all be cracking east-west. Tons of faults because that rock, as it goes up over that, is not going to support itself. It's going to crack and break off. So the major fault lines on the planet will all run east-west. You don't see that. You don't see that at all. All the fault lines run north-south. Another thing, if you had the 2 mile high waves they talk about, you would have no stalactites and stalagmites in any caves over 4 foot long. I've already covered that in a video I did way back when people asked me how to survive the Eden story that the CIA book was supposedly hidden and come out, and I debunked the heck out of it. I also computed how many atom bombs it would take to evaporate 600 feet of seawater and just all how that would, if you had a micronova, all the damage that would do to this earth. There wouldn't be nothing here if that ever happened. This planet would be roasted. There wouldn't be anything left. One side would be baked off, the atmosphere would swell up to that and then get sloughed off by that event. And the other side of the world, the atmosphere would rush away. It would freeze there, bake on one side. Every 12,000 years, all your rock would be plasticized everywhere. That just is a bunch of hooey. And that guy's getting a lot of articles published lately and a lot of news outlets claiming him to be some kind of expert. He's a court reporter, for Pete's sake. He's a court reporter. Yeah, he talks a good game to those that don't really understand the physics, but I have shot that down 6 ways from Sunday and then quadrupled that. It just, man, I did the calculations to show it and prove it way back about 3 or 4 years ago on this channel. So that I would not worry about. That is not something I wear. I tell you things to prep for, but some things I just got to say, don't buy it. Don't buy it. That ain't happening. It's never happened. It's not going to happen. So that I wouldn't worry about. What we're talking about is a shift in the magnetic field itself. So before I can actually get a physical structure house, it's okay. Definitely prefer trees over four walls. And these things, okay. Oh, you're in Australia. Do all that must to gain free food. A lot of free food honestly, at least in Australia. Much love. I'm doing all I can to receive assistance. I also go to churches. Churches can be a big help if you're running in trouble. I don't know what kind of programs Australia has, but I do know in the United States there's a lot of food banks, and a lot of them are not linked to churches, but a lot of churches are pretty generous. So there's different ways to reach out and get help. I was always told, I was always taught prepare for the worst and hope for the best. That's what we got to do. Still waiting for the murder hornets. I think they run into something. Greg was saying to go to observatories because it's the highest ground. Well, in Hawaii, you might have tsunamis. There is records of tsunamis in Hawaii, just some other events, from major slough offs of islands. If a big meteorite hit Earth, most likely place to hit the Pacific Ocean, because that's almost half the surface of Earth. And so for that purpose, I would. There has been major tsunamis, but they've usually been associated with meteorites and comet strikes, things like that. About 5,000 years ago, it looks like one hit in the Indian Ocean. There's a crater down in the Indian Ocean. If you look around all the shorelines in Africa and Mid East, there are signs where major waves swept forward. Major waves, big ginormous tsunamis from this event. And it's been estimated that this thing just boiled billions and billions, quadrillions of gallons of seawater that went up into the atmosphere when it hit. And then it rained for like 2 months, according to some estimates. Does that sound like Noah's flood? There's worldwide reports of a flood about the same time frame that this thing hit. Sounds like Noah's flood to me. Mm-hmm. So yeah, things can happen. Seacoasts, for that reason, aren't a good place to live. Just in general, seacoasts are not the best place to live for a prepper. I mean, it's easy food if you can fish and things like that. But in terms of long-term security, you are at tsunami risk. You could have a volcanic event cause a major tsunami, a subduction zone given away like the Cascadia subduction zone, asteroid strike in the ocean. Yeah, any of these things could cause a major tsunami. But the idea that, yeah, I'm sorry, Jesse. I got ahead of you there. And Hawaii has had records some of the largest tsunamis. Alaska's had some big ones too, about 1,500 feet, and up some fjords. But yeah, there is records of a major tsunami because Hawaiian Islands are volcanic. So it can happen. You get a side of an island slough off, you get a big tsunami. So when the Cascadia subduction zone last erupted, it caused major tsunamis as far away as Japan. So they swept around the world. So if you are close to the coast, Hawaii girl, you need to think about that, because that Cascadia subduction zone is thought to be primed and ready to go. It may be up in Oregon and British Columbia and Washington State. It could affect you. Anybody living on the Pacific Ocean coast. There's something to think about. Due to span of the Earth, every continent has desire to head to the equator. Yeah, a little bit. a little bit, but all the cantons are all kind of locked in. Uh, it's odd that we got most of the continents in the northern hemisphere, but we may be counterbalanced by Antarctica being stuck in the southern pole. That probably helps. It certainly seems kind of strange, but there is a bulge, and that bulge may prevent that migration, Arnold. The equatorial bulge may actually kind of set up some resistance to those comets because they got to go uphill basically. They're being pulled out by centrifugal force. Maybe the gravity counteracts that because the gravity is the dominant force. But the Earth has a lot of angular momentum, tremendous angular momentum. Same with the crust. That's why the crust hasn't slipped. There's no sign of it. If it had, you'd see a lot of geological signs. I don't mean a few, I mean a lot. Of course, this proponent, I hadn't followed him in a long time. His biggest claim was that the surface of the sun crusts up. It just gets too much silicon on it from debris in space and dust, and it just crusts up on the surface, and eventually it gets so much that she just boom explodes. I guess he's never seen a distillery. I mean, it just defies all physics in the world. Because when you have a distillery, it's a hot place like the sun, right? What does the heavier stuff do? It don't crust at the top, it sinks. It's the lighter stuff that goes to the top. And what this guy claims he knows physics. I'm not going to name him here. A lot of you know what I'm talking about. Claims he knows physics. And he claims that stuff blows off and it's only got all this glass on the moon. Well, that's because the moon's had the snot beat out of it by asteroids and other stuff. There's a lot of silicon in the surface of the moon, just like here on Earth. So that's just pure nonsense. Absolute pure nonsense. But anyway, a lot of people follow him. A lot of people. And they, if I go really big on him, he's going to send all kind of trolls in there attacking us. So I'm not going to get too big on attacking him because his trolls go out like crazy. And we don't want that here. But anyway, if anybody gets scared of that, I'm just telling you guys, I'm trying to bring y'all the truth. We got enough to worry about without somebody inventing something. Well, yeah, he's got a plan. You can go buy land over near him because he's got the answer. And if you buy land next to him, and you'll be safe and secure. Yeah, right. uh, anyway, so much for all that. Uh, so I'm trying to bring it to you straight. The sun is a threat. War is a threat. All this hatred humans have in their heart, that's their biggest threat of all. We got to find a way to stamp down the hatred somehow because the kind of technologies we're developing, we'll wipe ourselves out. We will not survive our own selves if we don't find some way to calm down the hatred. Yet we're just fanning the flames more every day all the way around the world. That's not a good thing. It's more complicated than I can explain in the chat, but Greg knows his stuff. Too big of a subject, but we know the continents, the continents move, but they're spreading away from the mid-Atlantic ridge right now, except India jamming up into India and Australia are moving north. India's created the Himalaya mountains, jamming into Asia. So, there's a lot of forces at play. A lot of plates move around in different directions. But India is actually moving north. And there's kind of a counter current, North and South America both moving west. The Caribbean is moving east. Somehow geologists think all these continents spread apart will reverse and come back together. I don't know what makes them think they won't combine on the other side over some long period of time. I don't know, but that's what they think. So let me check the chat room here, not chat room. Let me see if somebody is on here that we hadn't heard from tonight that might have sent some donations to my website. I came close today to dumping my website because I just got a $2,000 bill from GoDaddy. But I called them and found out it was for a 3-year renewal for all my web hosts. And I said, no, just give me 1 year. And it was crazy. $2,093.20. Couldn't bear that. I pay him almost $50 a month, and then he hit me with other sporadic charges. $100, $200, $400, $500 throughout the year. It's getting crazy. They just way overcharge. I don't know. Wait a minute. Hold on, maybe let's see if Kim Possible's in the house. Michelle. I don't know. Notice anything tonight in that regard. I'd like to give credit where credit's due. If somebody's throwing in a Australia is moving. It's moving north. All the continents are moving. Nothing is static. They move at about the rate that your fingernails grow. So in your lifetime, they moved a little bit. About the rate at which your fingernails grow. That's about the rate that they're spreading apart. Greg, you need to get some rest. Yeah, I'm going to end this video here in a little bit. How long we been on? 75 minutes. A lot longer than last time. Okay. Big storm moving in. Out here, Alabama had a big storm warning today. I hadn't followed the weather so much. I mean, under the weather myself. Okay, it's time for the egg guess. How many eggs did I harvest today from my hens? First guess gets it. How many eggs did I get today from my hens? I got them right here. How many eggs did we get today? First guess gets it. Somebody's throwing some hearts. Thank you. Throwing some thumbs up, guys. 109 watching. How many eggs we get today? Not seeing any movement on the chat room. Keep guessing. Keep guessing. Keep guessing. Bingo. Orwell 2084. You got it. Orwell 2084 is the first one to get the right guess. It's 5. And here they are. These are 5 eggs harvested today. Yesterday was 2. Orwell 2084, so 1984. That's interesting. First one to guess it. It was 5 eggs. I said yesterday I got 2. Today I got 5. The day before I got 4. 11, I wish. Let's see if I can make them more visible. There they are. That's the eggs I got today. My 12 hens. Hens are laying a little bit less right now. Everybody's saying they're getting less eggs. I was told these hens in the peak season be laying 12 to 14 eggs a day. So we'll see if that pans out when the spring gets here. Spring, summer. All righty, guys. Orwell 2084. You got it, sir. Lion Rex, 300 healthy ostriches. Yeah, I mentioned it's 330 actually. Yeah, I mentioned that earlier. Catch my video on the rewind. Talked about that and government oppression of farmers and how people in eastern Oregon are looking to break away because of this, by the way they're being treated there. So I don't blame them. Yeah, they could come after you. If they can come after your chickens, what else will come after? Look, they'll take your land. They want to take your bang bangs, your nugs, take your freedoms. And now we got Madami in New York said, there's no problem big government can't handle. Really? You want government trying to, yeah, he said government should be involved in every aspect of your life. There's a new one. If you want government involved in every aspect of your life, put an 11 in the chat room. If you don't want government involved in every aspect of your life, put a 12 in the chat room. 330. Yeah. And then again, there's that number 33. Isn't that weird? Isn't that weird? What do y'all make of that? Is that just odd or what? What do y'all think about that? Jesse, that's what a lot of us are worried about. They want you all on their system to be dependent on the big corporate farms. That's what they want. Yeah. Ryan Rex, he was 33. Jack Davison, glad you okay, Andy. So I'm happy now. Uh, Alrighty, guys. Hey, Rodney, how you doing? Good to see you. We're about to call it a night here, or a day for you. Let's catch us on the rewind. It's weird. That's all I can say. It just keeps popping up for some strange reason. Some strange, no apparent reason. I don't know. Must be a coincidence. Of course, some people say there's no such thing as a coincidence. I don't know. What do y'all think? Yeah, the odd thing is how he's getting involved with Billy Goat Gates and Peter Thiel backing him his time, and a lot to be asking questions about there. Internet was down. Oh, wow. I would have been on earlier, but yeah, huge storm. Wow. Well, glad you made it in. Just have to catch it on the rewind. Anyway, we're about to call tonight here. After we went through all the news, went through all the chat. We did our egg kiss. You missed it, Rodney. 5 eggs tonight. For today. So, and I sound like a gravel truck because I've been down and out. Seriously. I was real bad sick yesterday. I still ain't over it. Anyway, so we're going to call it a night. Yes, you need to rewind. Yeah, I got to hit the hay. Anyway, I just want to say thank you all for being here. Thank you, mods, for keeping the channel clean. Thank you, everyone, for being here, everybody for watching. Please share my videos. I'm not getting, we've had people in our sessions that didn't get a notice of it. And I'm always hearing that later from people. So share my videos, please. Share them on your social media. And just keep this movement rolling. And I got to hit the hay because I need some rest. Yeah. Greg, next trip to town, let me know. Okay. Might go tomorrow. Yeah, I probably will go to town tomorrow. So. Probably will go tomorrow to town. Macedonians run the whole show since Fish and what? Fish and Anchor hit Western Roman Semaphore. Thank you. Thank you, Scott. Anyway, I'm bushed. I got to go. So, to one and all, I want you all to have a safe weekend. Don't be scared. Be prepared. We got a lot of stuff coming at us. We got all kind of civil dispersions in this country, threats of war. The whole bottom line is get yourself prepared. Be right with your maker. Get right, get your family together. Tell your loved ones you love them every chance you get. I'm doing the Epstein. Oh Lord. Who knows? That cat may still be alive somewhere. There's just some weird stuff about that. Really weird stuff. Maybe I need to uh, cover that over on Swillhead News, maybe. Escape from New York. Yeah, a lot of people trying to get out now. Don't blame them. All righty, folks. Again, thank you all for being here. And to one and all, a good day, good night, wherever you are. And with that, I'm going to say,